Welcome to the Yoga Therapy Hour podcast with Amy Wheeler. I've had the good fortune to travel the world learning about yoga therapy on a global scale, and I've been able to meet many of the leaders in the field along the way. I want to share with you what I'm learning as I interview our colleagues from around the world. My hope is that together we can reduce suffering of all sentient beings through our work as yoga teachers and yoga therapists. Welcome to the Yoga Therapy Hour with Amy Wheeler. And today I feel so honored to be interviewing one of the senior teachers from the Yoga Mandiram in South India that I've been studying for about 2 decades now. I came to the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in I think it was 2001. February of 2001, they had something called the Silver Jubilee. And that was the beginning for me. So it's been 20 years. And one of the reasons I wanted to ask Srinivasan, who is a senior faculty at the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, and he's also the Executive Director of KYM, I wanted to ask him to come on the podcast because when I did my internships with the KYM, meaning we had finished all of our coursework and then we would have to go for a number of weeks, and we got the opportunity to sit in and observe senior teachers working with their clients, and sometimes they would even ask us to help. So I got to sit in with Srinivasan and see him working with clients, and he taught me so much just by being a fly on the wall and watching how it is that he interacts with students in a kind, friendly way, but also very strict and very direct. I watched him as a yoga therapy consultant, as well as a yoga therapist. You know, one thing that they do at KYM, which is pretty interesting, is that the very senior teachers are the consultants. So they do the intake, the interview, they decide on the priorities, they set the goals, and then they write up the basics of the first practice and kind of the direction that this student will go in. So a senior consultant who's had many, many years of experience does all of that. And then the student is handed off to a yoga therapist who follows the senior consultant's direction with the student. Make sure you do these different postures, this breathing technique. This could be a good chant or object of meditation. So when I was at KYM for my internship, this is the type of thing that sometimes I get to sit in with the consultant, and other times I would sit in with the yoga therapist who was applying what the senior consultant had described. But Srinivasan, he learned directly under Desikachar. He was a student, and he's going to tell you his story about how it came to be that he started working at the KYM. And I also think it's interesting, you know, he has a master's degree from the Tamilnadu Sports and Physical Education University in Chennai. So that was something that I didn't know about him until now. He's also learned Vedic Chanting and is a Healing Chant Teacher, and just involved in research projects, you know, a diabetes protocol under the Ministry of Ayush, which is kind of the government of India. They've made a special task force just to support yoga. So by the end of the podcast, we're going to even talk about how yoga therapy is unfolding in India and the support that they're getting from the government, and how that's making such a big difference to bring yoga therapy to the world. So we cover a lot of topics. We start off with Bhagavad Gita and the implications for Bhagavad Gita in terms of the therapeutic relationship and being a yoga therapist. What can we learn from the Bhagavad Gita about how to become a skillful yoga therapist? And I just think it's a great interview. I really enjoyed myself, and I hope you will enjoy it too.
Shri Krishna Vaghisha Yateshwarabhyam सम्प्राप्तचक्राङ्कणभाष्यसारम् श्रीनूत्नरङ्गेन्द्रयतौ समर्पितस्वम् श्रीकृष्णमार्यं गुरुवर्यमीढे विरोधे कार्तिके मासे शतताराकृतोदयम् योगाचार्यं कृष्णमार्यं गुरुवर्यमहं भजे कृष्णसूरीदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्देऽहं योगदेशिकम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः.
Thank you so much, Srinivasan. It's so nice to have you here on the podcast. And today we're going to be talking about your path and how you came to be at the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai, India, and some of the things you do there. But specifically, we're going to get into the Bhagavad Gita and how this text can be useful to yoga therapists and how we as yoga therapists can lean into the text for support and nourishment and comfort during difficult times. So I was wondering if we could start today with just a little bit of history about the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, and if you could just tell us what the mission is.
So Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram started in the year 1976 by our teacher T.K.V. Desikachar as a Guru Dakshina, as a kind of repaying to his teacher, his father, Krishnamacharya. So he started this institution as a yoga therapy center. So one-to-one yoga therapy started in a formal way as an institution in 1976. Here also the mission is very clear to help the people, those who have the issues, physical, mental or emotional or any issues, they can approach. And as you know that Desikachar is very expert in the yoga therapy, and he devised some of the tools in consultation with his father teacher, and it is being given one-to-one. So one student, one teacher, understanding the student's capabilities, what the need of the person at that point of time. So started with that level, and slowly the approach is removing the pain and remove the cause of the pain. So that's a two-prong approach. First, initially, you have to reduce, then you have to strengthen the system. If they practice regularly, they can strengthen that area and they will not get any issue further. And some people are continuing that by getting the benefit of practicing yoga. So it also helps the people to transform themselves. And very interestingly, most of the teachers, those who are in the KYM, are just first came as a student to remove some of the pain or some of the issues. When they saw how it works, then they start interesting in yoga. Then they approach Desikachar to start teacher training for this. Because of their request, he started in a formal way. And most of the teachers approach they are here. They come because of their pain or dukkha. So one of the thing is, if you have a dukkha, it also opens up something positive in us.
That's amazing. I guess I hadn't realized that so many of you started off as students. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, most of the teachers. Yeah.
Wow. So why don't you tell us a little bit, if you're willing, about your journey to become part of the KYM and how it kind of unfolded for you?
It's a very interesting story. I used to bring my daughter when she is in the kindergarten. Now she's married. That's a different aspect. So 20 years back,
wow.
when she is having some issues in the breathing, so we went to a doctor. She only suggested, why don't you take her to the Yoga Mandiram? So they will teach some yoga practices so that along with the medicine, she can come up very quickly. So when I was approached here, they say, no need for one-to-one. We have Saturday children's class. Why don't you put her in the children's class? So that way I used to come every Saturday and I sit outside like all the parents are sitting. One day I saw a board that the teacher training, the advertisement. I was curious. So it's the evening. So weekly only 3 days, 2 hours. Why don't I try? I just apply and I got a call. You have to write an exam. And I was taken back. Why? So there is an entrance exam. So I also said I will try. So there are some 100 people were there. We wrote the exam. And after a week, I got a call that you passed in the exam. So I was so happy. After so many years of my university days, I given an exam and I get passed. They say you have an interview. So I want to go to a yoga teacher training. Why people are doing all these things? It's also make me curious about this, more curious. So I attend the interview. There are 5 people. They ask why you are interested here. But I have said it is. I just want to make my time. I want to, because I was very interested in philosophy. So when I see the prospectus, they say there is a yoga philosophy. There is Bhagavad Gita. So I think, why don't I do? And also, I used to do asanas and not in a formal way. When I was a kid, my grandfather asked all the children to do this posture, that posture. If we do things, he will give some chocolate. So for that, we used to do that.
Bribery.
Yeah. When we were young, all my cousins, and when we go for a holiday visiting grandfather, he used to ask us to stand here. Then only I understand that was Uttanasana, Parshvottanasana, all the things. The kids, we used to jump and do all these things. So then in the interview also, after 3 days, I got a paper that you also select among 30 people, you also one of them. So that is how the journey started. I was doing my own business kind of thing. Evening, I used to come. Then after that, I started coming in the evening to observe the classes and giving therapy classes with the guidance of the teachers, 1 or 2 classes weekly. Then it slowly changed my life and I start giving more time here. And one point came, I stopped my business and this become my full-time kind of profession or full-time passion instead of profession. So that this is my story where I connected with this institution. And from there, the journey start. We had a mentor. My mentor is Shri V. So he guided me many places and started introducing me to many texts. And this is the journey started. And after understanding, after going through some 500 hours of yoga teacher, then they have given some exam for the consultant after 5,000 hours.
5,000?
5,000 students.
Oh, wow.
If you have done 5,000 classes with the student, then you are eligible to observe the consultations of the senior consultant.
I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you had many students come through, but I actually came and observed you at KYM during my internships. And it makes a lot of sense to have people seasoned and mature before they step into the room to even observe. Because I remember you had to be kind of strict with me to say, look, this is serious business. This is not for fun, Amy. You need to do it a very particular way. You need to act a certain way. And I was appreciative of that you kind of took me to task.
So that is how we train. That is what we got from our seniors. You have to behave like this. Then only you can observe. So you have to be in this way. That is what we have learned. That is what we also tell the people. It is for to understand the thing in a proper way. So after 5,000 hours of teaching, then I started observing the consultation. Then they started giving me how they molded us to become a consultant. This is how the tradition follows.
So it was more like a mentorship. After the initial 500 hours, it was more of a mentorship with your mentors shaping you.
5,000 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the way in which they make the consultant. Teacher, you start after finishing your teacher training, you can start observing and giving whatever the consultant asks you to give. Ask them to do this practice, that practice. After one class, before second class, we go to the consultant and we'll get the advice how to approach the student in this way. So like that, we get our training. Then after that, we started slowly introducing this kind of consultation methodology. Then slowly the journey started and it is going on.
That's beautiful. So tell us about, you've been doing this quite a long time now. What is the one thing in your personal practice, or maybe there's more than one thing, that really gives you the strength and the courage and fortifies you, helps you to become happy and healthy? What is it for you? Is it chanting? Is it studying the text? Is it asana?
So there are many combinations, but one thing for sure, what makes me very strong and I can able to handle the situations is pranayama with mantra and bhavana. That is one of the important tool I used to do. Initially, I start with asana, the practice, so that I can able to do postures. I have to teach. After that, I understand for my own self, what I need is more of the stabilizing in the internally. So pranayama with mantra and bhavana, that is one of the thing that helps me to make me calm and quiet, to understand things better. So I can respond instead of reacting.
Yeah.
Most of the time I used to react initially. Then I can able to understand that by reaction, I create more bondage, more of samskara. So how I can respond? Only my mind is calm and quiet, I can able to respond. So I give a small pause before that. So to give that small pause, you need a practice. Not to say everything immediately. Then I understand this practice and I start applying this in every sphere of my practice. So even asana practice, every time I give a small pause consciously. So that kind of samskara helps me to be little pause before any action, even to speak, even to do some postures, or even to teach. That pause make you to be there.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I've chosen to study at the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram for 20 years. I've been coming since early 2000s.
Yes.
Is because I see that the senior teachers there are non-reactive. They're clear. They communicate well. They have a dharma. They're just staying right on task. They're not reacting and getting into nasty arguments or anything. I can see that Vijnanamaya layer has been transformed for all of you. And to me, that's what matters.
Yeah, that comes because of our teacher, because we are seeing somebody who is practicing this. It is not only a kind of a theoretical aspect. So we learn a lot of things in a theoretical way. But when we see somebody who is practicing, that inspires us a lot. Like when we see the Desikachar, very simple, very clear, not having any ambiguity. If you want to convey some message, he will be very clear in conveying message. And he will appreciate wherever it is required. And he will make you to understand what you have done is wrong in a right way. So that is how, when we see that kind of mentors or that kind of teachers, then you automatically inculcate some of the qualities of them. Rather understanding theoretically, when you see the real person who is following that is more inspiring, and it gives us conviction. Yes, we can also live like that.
Do you know, Srinivasan, one of the last times that I was with Desikachar, I was attempting to chant the Bhagavad Gita. So he would chant a line and then I would try to repeat. And I was horrible. And he was very direct with me and basically said, this is not for you. You are not, this is not good. And you need to go. But I appreciated that because we both knew what had happened. And he was just very direct, like, you're not ready for this.
Yeah. So he will say, but it is not that you should not do this. You are not ready now. You make yourself little more higher, then you will be ready.
Right.
So he always support the people, but he says, this is what you are now. Now you are not ready for this. Go to that level, then slowly come. That's the real the mastery of the teachers. They go to the level of the student and slowly they will give the hand and slowly lift them up.
Mm-hmm. I think that's missing in a lot of Western society, is just to be very direct and say what you mean in a nice way. He was always very nice.
Yeah, very nice. That is what we call a satyam, how you are communicating the truth in a pleasant way. Yeah. There are many ways to communicate the truth, but it has to be communicated with the aim of not hurting. That is what its ahimsa is. Yeah. That's why Patanjali first aspect of Ashtanga Yoga is ahimsa. So whatever we are doing, it has to support that first principle.
Well, let's take this into the yoga philosophy that we're here to talk about today, which is the Bhagavad Gita. And the way this came about is I saw that you were teaching a Bhagavad Gita class, and I was wondering if I could still join, but I think at that point, maybe you had gone, a few months already. So tell us, is the Bhagavad Gita a yoga text?
Yes. Bhagavad Gita is one of the important yoga texts. In yoga texts, we have two traditions. One is Raja Yoga tradition, another one is Hatha Yoga tradition. So Bhagavad Gita and Yoga Sutra comes under the Raja Yoga tradition. They don't talk about what you practice. They give the principles. Like Yoga Sutra, they talk about Sthira Sukham Asanam, that's it. So in Hatha Yoga Pradipika or Hatha Yogic text, they will explain all the things. What are the posture, how to do the breathing, how you have to sit. All this will be explained in the Hatha Yogic tradition. But in Raja Yoga, they will show the principles. Practices will be based on that principle. In that way, Bhagavad Gita is one of the important yoga texts. There are 18 chapters. Each chapter, when they complete, they will chant this shloka. Iti Bhagavad Gitashu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Sastre Krishna Arjuna Samvade. This Bhagavad Gita is Upanishad, Brahma Vidya, and Yoga Shastra. So three things are attributed to Bhagavad Gita. It talks about the essence of Vedas. So it is a Upanishad. What is the main aspect? It's a Brahma Vidya. It talks about the Brahman, Supreme Self. Nothing, it's there inside. You have to connect with that Supreme Self. It is a Yoga Shastra. It also talks about the path of yoga, and it also elaborately discusses about the Sankhyan philosophy. The Sankhya and yoga is elaborately given. So it is one of the important yoga texts. The aim of Bhagavad Gita, if you see, there are 700 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. The first two sloka start with the word dharma. The 700th shloka ends with mama. So the first word is dharma, the last word is mama. If you connect this, mama dharma, my dharma. So entire Bhagavad Gita's message is my dharma. What is my dharma? My essential nature. I have to understand my essential nature. I have to go deeper to understand. It is parallel to Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam in our Yoga Sutra.
1.3.
Yeah, when you reach the state, what is the purpose of Chittavritti Nirodha? What happened? Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. That Purusha will establish in its own nature. Bhagavad Gita's aim or the central theme is the same thing. Connecting Mama Dharma. What is my Dharma? What is my Swadharma? What is my original nature? Now I came out from my original nature. Now I have to move towards so that I can connect with that original nature. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And many yoga definitions we can find from Bhagavad Gita. For example, in the second chapter, it says, Samatvam Yogam Uchyate. What is yoga? Balance of the mind is yoga. Samatvam. Because why we are suffering? Because of duality. Always there is some kind of pairs of opposites or dualities that makes us to move from likes and dislikes, all these kind of things. So balancing is very important. That's why Samatvam Yogam Uchyate. Then another definition says, Karmashu Kaushalam. Dexterity in action. Skill in action is yoga. So we have to see both together. So yoga means skill in action, at the same time balance in the mental level. Because most of us will have any one of them. Some people will skill in action, but there is no balance. Some people, they are very balanced, but there is no skill in action. Both are not going to help us. We are only 50-50. So he's giving two paths together. Then only we can say it is yoga. Because many times what happens? People think a yogi or a person of spiritual, they are their life is not dynamic. They will sit somewhere, it's a lethargic. No, they act in a very skillful way. The yogi is the one who acts very skillful way. At the same time, he will be very balanced. So
That's beautiful.
The beautiful definition given. So many times what happens, people interpret this and separate thing, and this is separate, this is separate. No, we have to see it in a very closer context. We can see in the world also, some country, people are very skilled in their action. Some countries, people are not so skilled, but reasonably balanced. But both are not good. So everyone has to be there with all two together, then it is yoga. And also one of the beautiful definition in the commentary, it says, Dukkha Samyoga Viyogam Yogam. So Dukkha Samyogam, something is connecting me that creates the dukkha, that creates some kind of pain. What is yoga? Disconnection of that connection. Dukkha Samyoga, that Samyoga, yoga, Viyogam, you are disconnecting that which connects with dukkha is yoga.
And would you say that disconnection from the dukkha happens because you've connected with something deep inside yourself?
Yes. And very interestingly, many places he talks about the vairagya. That is he uses the word. There are many different words he uses. Sannyasi. Sannyasi means one who has completely renounced. So first, somebody has to start with yogi. Yogi here doesn't mean what we are thinking about the yogi reached. No, one who has started the path. He is a yogi. That is one who is doing some action. Then he has to move from that level to sannyasi, renouncing. Then only he will eligible for dhyana, meditation. So beautifully coordinate how it is going and helping. So there are four paths he is emphasizing in Bhagavad Gita as a path of yoga. One is karma yoga, another one is bhakti yoga, another one is jnana yoga, then another one is dhyana. So why these divisions are given? So people are differently oriented. Some people are oriented towards action. Some people are oriented towards the intellectual understanding. Some people are oriented towards more emotional. I can't give one solution for everyone. So karma yoga is given for the people, those who are action oriented. So you are action oriented, do action in this way so that you can reach that higher. Some people are intellectually, I can't ask them to do this job or that job. They can sit and they can reflect, they can understand things intellectually. For them, jnana yoga, how you are going to tread the path. Some people are very emotional. So for them, the bhakti yoga, you just connect with that through the emotion. And when you are there, then that's the dhyana is possible. Only when you reduce your agitations through these three paths, then you can meditate upon something, understand something, then you can connect with your own nature. So it is a completely kind of yoga text, yoga shastra.
Would you say that there is a hierarchy, meaning that at the lower levels you do karma and then, maybe later you'll do bhakti, or is it truly non-hierarchical?
Non-hierarchical. So if you are action oriented, choose the karma. If you are emotionally, you are connected with something, should start with bhakti. If you are intellectually oriented, start with jnana. So wherever that is what Patanjali says, Tasya Bhumishu Vinyogaha. Start from where you are, where you find out your own ground, where you are anchored. From there you start. So it is easy for those people because they are already oriented towards action. Just they have to refine their action. That's it. When they are emotionally connecting with something, you choose the path. You connect emotionally with something higher.
Yeah.
And when you are intellectually oriented, not connecting something very, very mundane or very materialistic, connect there, start from there, move further, connect with something higher, reflect upon it. Then, and it's one more aspect is in the karma, there will be some devotion, there will be some jnana, but predominantly karma. So in the bhakti also, there will be some action, there will be some intellectual thinking, but predominantly the emotional way of connecting. In the jnana also, there will be some kind of action, some kind of devotion, then you are focusing there. So it's a kind of predominantly how you are oriented. Based on that, you choose the path. And very interestingly, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he gives all the path and says, Arjuna, I have given you the paths. Now this is your duty to choose which one you want. That is one of the important aspect of the therapist. That is one of the important quality. We have to make the person, the care seeker, responsible for his activity. Not the yoga therapist is responsible. So you are giving a responsibility towards the person who is seeking your advice. Not giving that you follow this or you follow this. I'm showing this path. Now it is your responsibility to choose and do. That's a very great idea about Krishna. He gives everything at the end. He says, Arjuna, I've given things. Choose which one you want and follow and become yogi.
And I think that takes a lot of time, attention, commitment to even understand yourself, to know which path would be best. Yes. Like I look at myself and I definitely think it's karma and bhakti, but it's taken me 50 years to figure that out. That's who I am.
Yeah, that's where the guidance of the teacher will help us to go towards the mentorship that will help us to mold. Because I can't able to assess myself immediately, but somebody who is away from me, by seeing me, they can assess and they can find my orientation quickly before I assess myself. Because I have, oh, no, I'm not only action oriented. I'm also emotional. I'm also intellectual because I don't want to go away from all this way. So I say everywhere I'm. So, but somebody, that is the role of the mentor or teacher. They understand and they mold you in that
way. Could we also say they help you cut away that which is not you? I mean, when I think of how we finally land on knowing who we really are, it's because of vairagyam and the letting go process, not anything adding to.
It is already there. It is not something they are putting inside. What they are saying is they are removing all the, what you call the shields. When it is broken, then you can able to see your own self. That is how in the Hatha Yoga Pratipika they say 4 levels. The first level, Gata Avastha, you have to remove all the things. Then Parichya Avastha, understanding who you are. Then reconstructing. Then emerging. So that has to be, but it's not that easy way. It's a scary. No. When you are breaking your foundation, you are built that foundation for 40 years. So who I am, I know the 55 years of my, 57 years of my building all this structure. Now I have to break. It's very scary. But there is no other way. If I want to reconstruct, the old one has to be removed, then the reconstruction happens. But the teacher's role is to helping and making the person, but I have to do. It's one of the important teaching of Bhagavad Gita is say, lift yourself by yourself. Uttare atmanatmanam. Nobody will going to lift you. It is you only have to lift yourself by yourself. The teacher and the books and all things will guide you, help you. But they cannot replace your own practice. That is one of the basic idea in Bhagavad Gita says, Arjuna, you have to do. I can only show the way. I can only show the direction. If you want to come out from that, you have to work.
We have this saying in the United States that no one is coming to save you.
Yes.
You have to do it for you. We'll be here to support you, but nobody's going to come and save you.
You can have the very good support system. The books will help you. The teacher will show the path, and friends and family will show some kind of path. But you have to do. You can't outsource your practice.
So, Srinivasan, that brings me to yoga therapy. I have a lot of students who tell me that when they give someone a practice, give their client a practice, that client does not do the practice. And they get very disappointed because they're not seeing the results. And do you see that in India, that people don't do the practice? Or because I think Westerners have an idea like, oh, in India, everybody, of course, would do their practice, but I'm not so sure.
No, it is universal.
Okay.
There is, wherever the human being, they will have this. But one thing is sure, when they have the pain, the degree is too much, whatever you say, they will do. Because the thing is, the pain has to be reduced. So they will, you say you have to do this, morning 10 minutes, midday 10 minutes, evening 10 minutes. After a week, they become little better, then the priority changes. It is only priority. It is not that they don't want to do, or they don't want to follow this. They want to do that, but the priority changes. 1 week, they took a leave from the office. They are doing everything. For example, back pain, neck pain kind of thing. 1 week they are doing. After that, they feel better. Now they can able to sit in front of their computer. They can start their work. Then the priority changes. Then after 1 or 2 months, they will call. Sir, I have the same pain. When can I come and meet you? I said, I have given a class. No, after 15 days, I am not doing this kind of thing. That they will talk about. Then we'll say, no, we have to find some time. So it is universal. When the pain is there, real pain, then they will do. Till such time. But some people are exception. They really follow because that is their priority. When they are given priority to their health, they will do. They will find time. Because many people say, I don't have the time. I'm so busy. 15 minutes also not possible. I say it is not the matter of time. Time we only invented. It is only priority. I used to say, if somebody say I don't have the time, if I announce that if somebody comes early morning, 3 o'clock to the Mandiram, I will give $1,000. I can see 500 or 1,000 people will be on the queue.
That's right.
So they will find the time because that is their priority. It's not the time. It is only priority. So it is everywhere.
You know, I had this experience. I'm working with Gita Shankar because I had terrible back pain and I was not getting it resolved. And she gave me an hour-long practice and I made time because you know what? After 3 days, I felt a whole lot better. And then after 2 weeks, I felt a whole lot better. Now it's been 6 months and I'm able to run again. I mean, it's remarkable, but like you said, if you're in pain, you'll find the time.
Yes, that's what. For example, when people come and say, oh, I have this health issue, that health issue, I used to say, are you having any health insurance? Yes, I paid this much of money and got the health insurance. I said, why are you paying that kind of money? Every day pay 20 minutes of your time. That is your health insurance.
An investment in our health.
That is the investment. You are investing 20 or 25 minutes. You are not investing any money.
Right.
Just do something. You learn and you know how to do. Just do something. At 20 minutes, it's your investment. It's your health insurance. You need to visit your hospitals kind of thing. Unless until there is some kind of karma vyadi that we can't do anything. But normal healthy thing, we have to do kind of things. It's only spending some time. Right.
And like you said, it's your priorities. People can find time and oftentimes they can even find money they didn't think they could.
Yes. It is their priority.
Yeah. So let's go back to the Bhagavad Gita a little bit. And can you tell us some of the therapeutic aspects of the text? You've talked about some of them, but are there other ones, psychological, physical?
Yeah, the psychological, it is very, very interesting. This is one of the psychological counseling text. If you approach this text in that idea, it's a complete psychological counseling. How Krishna gives the counseling to Arjuna. The first chapter, very interesting. There is a depression of Arjuna. First chapter is despondency of Arjuna. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. First chapter talks about how Arjuna goes into depression on seeing his own people. in the opposite side. And entire first chapter and the first 12 verses of the second chapter, Krishna was not opening his mouth. He was just listening to Arjuna. Whatever he want to tell, he just allows him, just smiling and listening. This is the first quality of the counselor. You have to allow the care seeker to pour in whatever he want to or she want to tell. Just allow that to be happen. That is the first level. And at the end of that, his first chapter and first few slokas in the second chapter, he said, "Oh, now I don't know what to do. Can you please help me? Now I am surrendering." Then only he started giving the sermon. Very, very interesting aspect. Unless if the advice are not sought, we should not give advice, because that doesn't have any value for them. Only people, when they say, "Please help me," if you give advice, then it has a lot of value. But what is happening today? Everywhere it is given very freely. If somebody want to talk something, within 2-3 minutes, we interrupt and say, no, why don't you try this? We are not allowing. So the first psychological aspect of counseling, clearly, he is talking about, he just listen and understand. He is emotionally very, very weak. And his emotions are completely taken over, and he is not judgmental. Very interesting, very important aspect. Krishna was not judgmental. He just observing how Arjuna is pouring, understanding his emotions, how it, and interestingly, this emotion is kindled by Krishna only. It is not that Arjuna got the emotion when he enters the battlefield. Very interestingly, because Krishna knows he is emotionally little weak. So before the war starts, I have to clean that. Then only he will be steady in the war. If after the war has started, if he become emotionally weak, then he cannot able to win the war. The same situation. War is, we can connect the war, Mahabharata war, and something happened in the history. But the perpetual war is happening every day with us. There is externally, there is a war happening. Internally, there is a war happening. How to handle this? So this text clearly talks about how psychologically he is approaching. And when, interestingly, he state you have to act. Because Arjuna say, "I don't want to do, I'm retiring from the war." Interesting.
Conveniently.
He was waiting for this war 13 years. 13 years, Arjuna was waiting for this moment. Arjuna represents the skill improvement. Each character in Bhagavad Gita, if we see, everyone represents some quality. Arjuna represents skill improvement. He will not sit quiet at all. He is well versed in this Dhanur Vidya, the bow and arrow. Whenever find time, he used to practice or do tapas to get some kind of weapons from the celestial being. So he always improves his skill. That is one of the things what we have to learn from Arjuna. If I want to be in my field, I have to improve. It is always a continuous process of improving and upgrading my skill. Then only I will be relevant, or otherwise I will not be relevant to that field. So Arjuna represents that. 13 years he is working for it, but the end moment, at that appointed time, he says, "I am not going to do this." So this happens to our life also. We are planning something, we do everything, but some obstacle come, we say, "No, this is not my cup of tea. I don't want to do." So he says, "No, you are prepared this for this kind of thing." So he's in the counseling, Krishna uses many ways. First, he talks about the devotion. It is not you have to do. In the devotional way he approaches. Then he talks about in the vanity. If you don't do, people will not appreciate you. Then he approaches in a personal way. "Don't worry, I am here with you. You can do this," in a personal way. And he appeals with a anger. If you don't do this, then people will get anger. Those who are coming with you for the war. And he also threatens him. If you don't do this, what should be the consequence? So all the way he is approaching. So it gives us the tool how to approach the student in a different angle. In a devotional way, in permission, in a vanity way, or personal appeal, or Fear sometimes works, not threatening way. If you don't do this, what is the consequences? So this kind of thing. And another interesting aspect is, throughout Bhagavad Gita, the 700 slokas, many places Krishna uses different names of Arjuna. Arjuna has different names. So like Dhananjaya, one of the name of Arjuna is Dhananjaya, like our Dhananjaya Vayu. Dhananjaya means winner of wealth. So he uses the word Dhananjaya. You are the winner of wealth. You can do. And some places he say Bharata Rishabha. You are bull among the Bharata clan. You can do. Some places he says Kaunteya. You are the son of Kunti. Kunti is, who is the Kunti? He is my sister. You are very close to me. And Gudakesha, you are the one who has mastery over the sleep. Arjuna has this quality. He is completely master over the tamas. And some places here you are the Sabyasachi. He is the only person who can handle two bows at the same time. That was his ability. Normally people hold the bow and they will throw the arrow. But Arjuna has the ability to hold the two bows with the toes, with his toes, and he can have the arrow like this. Sabyasachi. So many names. So he uses his names appropriately to make him understand in a subtle way that you are capable of doing. You have the potential.
So he was like implanting almost an identity.
Not directly, but taking the name in an indirect way, they also reconfirm that you are the person you can able to do. So you have the capability, you have the potential. So this is the way in which the person has to approach somebody is in the psychological distress. So there are many positive aspects. So we can make them to understand you have this positivity. You can able to do that.
And that's part of the reconstruction process. After the old identity has been broken down, there needs to be this new way of seeing ourselves, right?
Yes. And if we see some of the the characters, when we see the characters, the main character is Dhritarashtra, the king, the blind king. And his son is Duryodhana, the Kaurava clan. That's the story. That's a big story. So the Duryodhana, the Dhritarashtra is a blind king, born blind. When he married Gandhari, Gandhari is his wife, the Duryodhana's mother. She is from Gandhar, that is today's Afghan. In those days called Kandahar. So she is the daughter of the king of Kandahar. So she is called Gandhari. After marrying him, she said, oh, my husband can't able to see, so I don't want to able to see the world. So she voluntarily tied her eyes. She said, I don't want to see. So this is the story part. What we have to understand is, we are spiritually blind. The Shakti in us has to help us to remove that blindness. The Shakti, the power is represented by Gandhari. What is happening is the Shakti also closes his eyes or her eyes. When both are blind, they give 100 children. The Kauravas, there are 100, all the negative aspect. So when I am blind spiritually, what is going to help me to remove the blindness? But that also says voluntarily I am going to tie my eyes. Then both will produce 100 negative qualities. So each character, if we see in Mahabharata thing, we can able to understand many aspects connected with our own self. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, people who aren't reading the text at the level that you're describing are thinking it's about an actual war. Like, how is a spiritual person, in this war? But everything you're saying is just saying, we are getting to know ourselves deeply.
Yes. So it may be a war happened some 3,000, 4,000 years ago. We don't know. But if it is not there also, if you don't believe in that war, but what they have said, the characters they built, it is not something alien to us.
Yeah.
Arjuna representing myself, the people, he is representing us. So how we go to depression, like that Arjuna also goes to depression. And he gets the counseling from his master. And most of the time he was thinking Krishna as his friend. He can't able to see him as his teacher. Only in the battlefield, when he saw the Krishna's, the Vishwarupa Darshana, the big form, cosmic form, then he say, oh, now he understood. He's not just a friend. He's a great. That is how we also behave in the world. We think this is my friend, he's my student, but they are the real teachers for us. If we see them in that perspective, they are the real teachers. We learn a lot of things. Even as a care provider, we learn more from the care seekers. So they are our teachers. So when I have that idea, when I have that frame of mind, then I want to learn more. That means I observe clearly, observe more. It is not just they are coming to seek some help. No, they are helping me to understand more about themselves and myself. So if I change that perspective, then it is not a kind of job. It is they are giving me opportunity to understand things, learn things every time.
And I think that's very different than being friends, right? I mean, we're not friends with our clients. We have a boundary.
I'm not talking about them as a friend. I'm talking about real friends. When we are in the school, college, or somebody very friendly moving, we normally think they are just kind of playmates. But if we observe them, they are the real teachers. They make me to understand how I relate with them. I observe them, how I am relating. So they are the mirrors for me to understand who I am.
Right.
That is how the Yoga Sutra says, Maitri Karuna Mutito Pekshanam Sukha Dukha Punya Punya Vinaya Vishayanam Bhavanadaga Chitta Prasadanam. If I see that sutra, so it is talking about, oh, you have to inculcate these 4 qualities, 4 attitudes. For what? I am connecting, I am relating with somebody, and these qualities are helping me to see myself. They are the mirror. How I am relating with somebody who is very happy. How I am relating with somebody who is in dukkha. How I am relating with someone who is doing right job or right kind of action. How I am relating with somebody who is doing not so right action or some bad thing. Whether I am judgmental, whether I am connecting with them very easily. So this helps me to understand myself more.
It's reminding me what my chanting teacher taught me, and I'm just going to put this on the screen for a moment. Oh. And this is something that Desikachar talks about, that if you're in conflict, asmita is predominant. If you're in confusion, you're probably having some misperception and some avidya. Yeah. If you have anger or selfishness, you need to meditate on detachment or vairagyam. And if you're feeling not confident or insecure, reflect on bhakti, right? And so I've used this for years to meditate. When I'm in those states, I come back to that piece of paper and say, okay, well, what's the asmita that I'm doing here? So is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes. When I'm connecting, when I'm seeing the people, when I'm connecting, they are giving me an opportunity to understand me better.
Yeah.
So when I have this, then I will not criticize. I will not judge others. Normally what is happening, if something gone wrong, normally what we do, oh, because of this has gone wrong. Because of this person, I'm suffering. Because of that, I'm suffering. When I change this perspective, then I will not blame anyone. I cannot criticize anyone. I cannot judge anyone. It is how I am contacting that matters.
And how do we, I agree with you, but how do we stop evil though? If there's truly a harm being committed, I would think having clear right action would be necessary, yes, even if we decide not to judge.
Yeah, right action has to be taken, because the word upeksha, it gives a lot of misunderstanding. So upeksha means I'm indifferent to somebody is beating or something is happening. No, whatever you have to do, you have to do. But not in the frame of mind that this person is very bad, is horrible, non-judgmental, but at the same time, what I have to do, I have to do. Whether I have to call the police or I have to give some complaint, whatever means I can able to do at that point of time. The basic idea is I will not lose my balance.
Yeah.
Because only when there is a crisis, I must be calm. The problem is when the crisis comes, I become imbalanced. I become restless. So I can't able to handle the crisis. So the need of the crisis, I must be calm and quiet so that I can understand properly, so that I can take action in a right way.
Right.
So my personal practice helps this. It will not come on its own. When I do my personal practice every day, it will give me this kind of opportunity to have that equanimous kind of thing, not immediately judging someone. Yes, he has committed some mistake. For that, he has to go through whatever the law or whatever is saying. But I'm not judging. He is very worst person. He is very kind of thing. But I'm not losing my balance.
And so when we connect that to yoga therapy, I mean, some people would say, yes, that everything you're talking about today has to do with yoga, but when they think of yoga therapy, they think, oh, my neck hurts or my back hurts or I have asthma. How do you see that connection? I personally think what you're describing is exactly what we're doing in yoga therapy, just on a one-on-one basis.
Yes.
And the neck pain happens to clear up and the back. I mean, the physiology shifts and the skeletal muscular body shifts as a result of this change in attitude and mental state.
So very interestingly, the health means in Sanskrit, it is called swastha. Swastha means I'm healthy. If you split that word, swa asta, swastha. Swa means my own self. Stha means staying. If I stay with myself, I'm healthy. Vyadi means illness. V means disconnection. Adi means something deeper in me. When I am disconnected from my inner self, I am having illness. I have a disease. When I am connected with myself, it is health. So in yoga therapy, even though we are doing something to elevate the pain kind of thing by giving asana, kind of pranayama kind of thing, we also give something that knowingly or unknowingly go and touches something very internal thing. So they start connecting with that. That's why they say, oh, I feel good. Because they can't express other than that. They say, how do you feel? Are your pain gone? Pain is there, but I feel good. Yeah. So that I feel good is nothing but they are going and connecting with their self. They are slowly going closer to their own self. That is the expression of I feel better.
And it almost has like a mystical or a magical quality to it because you can't figure out exactly what's happening. You just know you feel better.
Yeah. They feel better because they feel something is happening inside. They can't express. They can't able to see. So we can understand something is happening, some kind of inner thing. The journey has started slowly. If they sustain, then they can go deeper and find kind of thing. But it's not that easy. Like I said, priority.
Right. So with all of that said, where do you see the field of yoga therapy going in the next decade?
So it is positive because there are two sides of anything happen in a positive and there is some kind of not so positive side also. But till now, the people, those who are in the medical field, they are seeing yoga therapy as some kind of in a skeptical way. So say, no, yoga, it's okay for the healthy people. How can it help in somebody who is having the pain or kind of thing? But now they are shifting their view on yoga therapy. Because what they think about is yoga therapy means they have to do uttanasana or some posture. They see in the picture. And so a person with back pain, they cannot do this. They don't understand the modification and our variation. Now they are start understanding things. Now they are start aligning. And very interestingly, many of the doctors are coming to learn because they have the most stress, especially in India. Yeah. They are going through a lot of stress. They started doing themselves. And interestingly, some of the medical college, we have the MOU. to teach the medical students and the teachers and the medical doctors, nurses. So one of our teacher does every day 3 hours sitting in that medical college.
Wow.
So scenario is changing. So now they only came and asked, why don't we have a memorandum of understanding? Why don't you send one teacher there every day? So slowly after he is giving classes to the medical student, first year, second year, third year, and some of the those nurses and the doctors. So now the scenario is changing. Previously they are very skeptical. Now they start recommending to their students that go and learn yoga along with the medicine. So they can see the recovery is very fast. Because the students are taking only pills or medicine, something external goes in. They are not doing anything. But along with this, if they do pranayama or basic kind of postures, then they can see the things are happening in a very, very tremendous way and a very fast forward approach. So now initially people also come when they went to allopathy, Western medicine, then they go to Ayurveda, then they go to Siddha, if they are not able to cure, then the last resort they come to yoga. Because neighbor would say, you have done everything, why don't you try that also? So it's like a last choice for them. They don't, okay, I have done a lot of things, this also I'll try. That was the mentality. Now something happened, immediately their first preference is yoga. They come and sometimes we recommend you need some medical intervention also, because your problem I can't handle through only yoga. So that kind of the satyam, the truth has to be come from the yoga therapist also. It's not that everything I can cure. That is the other side of yoga. Now people are saying, oh, if you have cancer, come, I will cure you. If you have AIDS, I will cure. That gives the bad name for the yoga. So, and one important thing is when something become popular, when something become very, very famous, the vulgarity also come along with it. It becomes also vulgar. Because people are there to how I can do something so that I can immediately catch something or earn money and do something like that. So the positive things is now people are preferring yoga as the first thing, and doctors are recommending. They are doing themselves and they see the benefit. So this is the best scenario. It changes the entire thing. And especially after this government, what we have, this government is supporting yoga in a very, very holistic way. In terms of money, in terms of promotion, in terms of research, they spend because they want to make this as one of the important things.
It's a national treasure.
Yeah, national treasure. And they create a lot of things. And they also have, especially we are doing one-to-one, but they want to reach to entire mass. So they have done a yoga app, 5 minutes yoga break. Myself and Sridharan are also member of that committee. When we went to Delhi and we discussed 5 minutes yoga. It is for people, those who want to have a tea break. Whenever you go to office, they say after 11 o'clock, so I feel tired, so I will have a tea. So 5 minutes tea break. Now replace that with this 5 minutes yoga break. Why break? That is called why break. If you go to in YouTube also it's there. Why break? 5 minutes. Morning.
Like the letter Y?
Why? Yoga break. Why?
Okay.
So 5 minutes, if you do this, whatever energy you are gaining by drinking a tea or coffee or doing something, you'll get more than that energy without spoiling your health. Now it has been introduced to many, all the government offices, all the kind of things. And they've selected some 7 institutes all over the India for the pilot study. We have done that pilot study in Chennai for 700 people.
Wow.
We're introducing this. So we have done this why break in many offices, then collect the data and we compile what happened by this 5 minutes break, yoga break. So this is the scenario now evolving. So government is also supporting, people also change their mindset. This is the positive side. Negative side, because of this popularity, there are a lot of demand for the yoga teachers, yoga therapists. So there are many schools or people, they are running 1 month yoga therapist training, online. So after online, you pay money, they will give the certificate. With that certificate, they will open some places like, oh, I'll also give yoga therapy kind of thing. And some booklets are available for back pain. You do this. For blood pressure, you have some printed booklets. So they will have the booklet, and some 100 people, 10 people maybe get better by doing this.
Mm.
So that is the flip side of this. When future, there will be a lot of potential, lot of things, and a lot of universities now they are coming with the curriculum.
Right.
All the sports university, they have some kind of MA in yoga, MA in yoga therapy, BA yoga therapy. So they also started in a university way also. So there are tremendous potential and people are moving towards it. There is some kind of other side also there. So we have to be careful.
It sounds like in India, it's become a priority. I think you are ahead of where we are in the United States. We don't have the government really prioritizing and investing in yoga and yoga therapy.
Yes. But that we got only after this government came, last 7 years. Before that, nobody was looking about. And when we go to the National Institute, it's like a very old building kind of thing. Now it has been revamped and it's one of the state-of-art research kind of things are happening. A lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
And nowadays, with the hospitals also having kind of association with the yoga training centers with some kind of research. We are going to enter one of the MOE with Apollo hospitals, how yoga therapy is going to relieve the migraine pain. So we are going to have that kind of thing. We already done with epilepsy with the funding of Government of India.
Will you have enough teachers for all of this, Srinivasan? I mean, when I look at the KYM, it doesn't look like you have hundreds and hundreds of teachers there.
No, we have 35 to 40 teachers. But the thing is, some teacher will be dedicated to that place. They will go and the doctors will provide the students, then they will teach, then they will measure, that kind of thing.
Right.
That is where the government comes with the mass kind of thing. And they also have protocols for very important things. There is a yoga protocol for diabetes, because India, we have a lot of diabetes patients. The second highest in the world is India, the diabetes. So I'm one of the member of that protocol committee. Central government has done. So we came with a booklet with inputs from various institutions, and we can't do one-to-one. So we come with some minimal kind of thing with modification and also some contraindications. That booklet, so it has been issued to many hospitals and many villages. So people are doing, there are videos, there are booklets. So it's a kind of preventing mechanism, and most of the people are spending a lot of money on the medicines kind of thing, all these lifestyle disorder medicines. So they also get benefit. So when the government comes, it's a kind of mass movement.
Was it hard for you all to agree on what a diabetes protocol might look like, since you're all from different traditions?
It took 1 year.
Okay.
Every month we used to have a meeting in Delhi. Every month we will have a fight. Why should we have this posture? You should. So that tradition says, no, my tradition, they say, this is the best one. So there is a via media came, and what we have done is we have not fought with all these things. We enter in the last leap and they said how to do all the breathing, because everyone was doing this thing. So what I did was, so you are giving the posture. I will do the sequencing from standing like that. I have done the sequencing. Then I have done the breathing, how to introduce the breathing, and added some postures with the stay kind of thing. Because there are great people like great Swamijis. Everyone was there in that protocol committee. But there is no other way. We have to come to a via media. Then we have done. But it took 1 year.
And we're not going to get everything we want all the time.
Yes.
We have to compromise.
Yeah, compromise for the sake of the entire mass. It reaches many people.
Yeah.
If I can do, I cannot reach that kind of masses.
Right.
So if I want to take to that level, I have to align with the government and align with this kind of bodies, so that you can give your own input for the betterment.
Yeah. Well, Srinivasan, we're almost out of time, but one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is because I was requesting that you give a Bhagavad Gita class as it applies to therapeutic context and psychological counseling. I think a lot of us have read Bhagavad Gita text, but to have someone really point out that at first Krishna is only listening in a non-judgmental way. And only after Arjuna asks for support does he then step in and give support. Like those kinds of realizations while we studied the Bhagavad Gita, that's really what I want to learn. So I know that you are in early 2022 going to be offering a course like this, limiting it to about 35 to 40 people who have experience with yoga philosophy and possibly even the KYM. Do you want to say anything about that course and what we can expect?
Yeah. So I have already done the first chapter with the people in India, in our teachers, all of them. We have done around 40 hours of this for the first chapter, because most of the time, anywhere if we go, they will omit the first chapter. They say it's only a depression. The second chapter only the teaching starts, but the first chapter, it's a treasure. We can see each and every character and how they are presented in a way, how they are talking. It gives a lot of ideas about our own self. So what I have done is understanding Yoga Sutra through the Bhagavad Gita. That was the title what we are given. So once you have the idea about the basic sutras idea, then you can appreciate this Bhagavad Gita context with the Yoga Sutra. So, as you said, we are planning to have in the 22 January or February, we can have around 24 to 30 hours of first chapter of Bhagavad Gita to understand how the human mind works, how different characters are representing some of our own qualities. Very interestingly, some of the names of the conch. So each one has the different conch. Krishna's conch is called Panchajanya. Arjuna's conch is called Devadatta. So each one has a significant. Why they have given the name? What is Panchajanya for me? What is Devadatta for me? What is Ananta Vijayam for me? So each thing, how I can associate, that is very, very interesting. It's also very interesting learning for me. How the parallel was given in Yoga Sutra. Each shloka, some of the things, how Patanjali has given in a different way. So how they are converging. It's a beautiful way of understanding. So it is for the people, those who have basic knowledge about Yoga Sutra, yoga philosophy, because they only can connect and appreciate. If somebody is new, then it's like something kind of out of place kind of thing.
Yeah. So we need a foundation before we can make the higher level connections.
At least they understand what is yoga philosophy, what is Yoga Sutra talks about. Then we can connect with the story and we connect with the character, how it is evolved in Bhagavad Gita and how it is connected, and how the yoga therapist has to deal with the student, deal with the family, deal with him. All things can be understood in a different characters. So
I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure to just kind of hear the overview and see those connections between Bhagavad Gita and yoga therapy. Is there a way that we can connect with you and KYM? Do you want to say the website or talk about any other classes?
We are doing a lot of webinar. Now it is going on the Pancha Bhuta Dharana. It's already going on. And we are also doing Samyama on each and every aspect of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. So we have done up to Dharana. Last Sunday only we have done up to Dharana. Now next month and December we are completing with Dhyana and Samadhi with various texts, how they are dealing with. And there are many webinars are coming about the chanting, about some of the, like you did this 5-bird model, the Panchabhuta, that's also coming as a webinar. You can see in our website, kym.org, then you can see what are the courses that which is interested for you. You can log in and you can find registered and you can learn something new. Because this time, this is one of the interesting way of communicating with everyone, this technological improvement. And this COVID has opened up a lot of opportunities. There are challenges, there are opportunities. So how you are going, whether you are going to only talk about criticizing the challenges or something, how many people die, how many people are affected. Now you can also see how many people are come out of it. How many people have recovered.
It's been such a blessing to get to take classes in the morning with all of you. I mean, I didn't have that opportunity before COVID.
Before COVID, we also a little skeptical whether online it is going to work. Now it is a kind of samskara. We develop and we also get. So yes, it is possible. Another way, another avenue to disseminate the knowledge of Desikachar and Krishnamacharya.
So do you think it will continue even after COVID has kind of recovered? Do you think it will continue to be online?
Yes, because it is very easy for everyone. Yeah. Or otherwise somebody has to come and travel and stay here, and for some it is easy. They can do their job, they can continue, no need for take holidays. Only weekly 2-3 hours they can spend and they can upgrade themselves. That is what we talk about, Arjuna, the skill development. You upgrade yourself, so you read, understand.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's really been my honor to have you here representing Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for you to give me opportunity to express about our institute and about the text. Thank you once again. Thank you.
So we've just finished this lovely hour with V Srinivasan from the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram. And there was something that we talked about briefly during the podcast that I think a lot of people will be interested in. So I just want to spend a little bit more time as we close up today as a self-reflection about who we are, how we show up in the world, how we would like to show up in the world if we're not already, showing up the way we would prefer to. And this is something that one of my chanting teachers, Deborah Kurian, had given me many, many years ago. I think this was 10 years ago or more. She gave me this sheet of paper, and it was her notes from studies with Desikachar on the Bhagavad Gita. And I had gone to Deborah with some problem that I was having, as I always do, some interpersonal relationship issue. And she said, are you feeling conflicted? Are you in conflict? If so, asmita is predominant, meaning your ego identification, the part of you that says, I, me, mine, and I need to win. And so the solution to that is to kind of get out of yourself and meditate on your svadharma, your personal dharma, and reflect on what to do and what not to do in a particular situation. The idea is that we need to have clarity through reflection and kind of recognize when the ego identification is getting a little bit out of hand. Then she would go on to say, are you in confusion? If you feel confused, you need to meditate on the experience of wisdom and knowledge, right? Meaning there's a misperception that you're having that you're not understanding. It's a misperception. You have some missing information, or you've seen something not in a clear way, or you're making an assumption. And if you're confused, it's because there's missing information. There's something going on that you don't quite understand yet. And you need to meditate on what could be happening here. So it's a very experiential meditation to try to see where those missing links are that you don't quite understand yet. Then she would say, are you disturbed by anger or selfishness? And of course, so many of us have this anger and the selfishness. And she would basically say, if that's the case, what are you going to meditate on now? There's another thing to meditate on, and that is vairagyam, or detachment, consciously deciding, what am I going to let go of? What am I going to give up? Right? And a lot of times when we're going through this process of detachment and letting go of something that's no longer serving us, we also have to give up some of our desires, some of our wants, some of our needs, some of those things we even maybe hold precious, right? And then last but not least, are you feeling not confident? Are you feeling insecure? Are you feeling helpless or hopeless? And if so, meditate on devotion, on bhakti, that basically there's something higher than me that is supporting me and nourishing me. I am here doing my job. I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I will be of service until I'm told I'm no longer needed. I have faith in the process, even though it's very difficult. And I have support and wise people around me that counsel me. And basically having faith in all of that. So that, to me, Desikachar's basically short cliff notes on the Bhagavad Gita, that was so it is helpful. I think about those things all the time when I'm in conflict or when I'm angry or when I'm feeling selfish. I go back and I look at that and I think, okay, what's really going on here? And as Srinivasan said, this is our opportunity to go within and to look within. This yoga journey is not about changing what's out there. This yoga journey is about getting clarity about what's in here. And as he so eloquently talked about, that if we can de-link from the conflict and the anger and the judgment, and instead connect with something deep inside of our own heart, the courage, the faith, the love, the compassion, the satyam, the truth with kindness, if we can continuously come back to that place within us and get clarity, this is the path of the person who's practicing yoga. So I will leave you with that today. Thank you for joining us. It's been my pleasure to be with you, and I wish you well. Thank you for listening to the Yoga Therapy Hour with Amy Wheeler podcast. Another nonprofit organization that we like to support through this podcast is the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai, India. They are the source for the teachings of the Optimal State Yoga Therapy School, and we are so grateful. The KYM's Mitra division offers free yoga therapy training to a large number of socially and economically underprivileged children and women in Chennai. Feel free to support them through the link listed below on Red Circle, and we also have details on our website, which is also listed below. Please also note that we have recently developed a mental health tracking mobile app based on yogic and Ayurvedic principles. The app helps practitioners to observe their mental habits and patterns throughout the different times of day, the seasons of the year, and the stages of life. This is a useful tool for healthcare providers, yoga teachers, yoga therapists, and all of the people that they serve. Check it out on the App Store. It's called the Optimal State app. And finally, a special thank you to our team here at Optimal State. We are truly a global family. George Mantuan, one of our executive producers. Adam Satchel, senior media producer and sound engineer from the Philippines. Krishna Panchal, a producer from Canada. Modupe Abdullahi, who does the show notes and is an editor for us from Nigeria. And Peter Morley, who wrote and produced the music for this show, who lives in Australia. Find more about Peter's work at www.zenmusic.biz. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.